That's a poem song by Robert Burns, and many people know that song. Many people sing that song, especially in Scotland. It is a song of um, independence and equality of all men. That was written, I think, in response to some independence movements in the world, and of course, independence for um, the idea of being free and equal has not always meant the same thing to all people. But I think that many of the cries for cries of inequality and injustice have can be applied to lots of different movements, and I think that um, it's an interesting poem, an interesting song, and I know that a lot of people are deeply moved by it. And the reason why singing that song and learning that song for my Corona accomplishment, number 7, Coronaccomplishment, is not because I'm trying to teach anybody anything about anything or to make some sort of grand statement about equality or injustice. I do feel that we have, as a people, have to continue fight for those who are mistreated, those who are not given equal treatment, and we have to be forever on our guard about those things because we live in a deeply unjust world. And we're seeing that right now across the world in response to this coronavirus. And you can see it right here in America, supposedly a place where we have equality and freedom, and we can see that we clearly do not have equality and freedom when it comes to healthcare and when it comes to our safety and security. And we do not have we don't have all that yet. And the reason why I decided to use this song today was because I like to consider myself to be a very curious person. I've been known to criticize people around me in my life for being not curious enough. My students and people in my life, sometimes I think I'm a hypocrite sometimes because I think I get excited about being curious, and I think sometimes the curiosity of the moment doesn't actually last, and so I don't actually look things up. And I've lived in the Garfield Park neighborhood of Chicago for going on 8 years, and I go to the park quite a bit during the spring and the summer, and there's two statues that are close to the house, and I'll put both these statues pictures up in this video, probably so you don't have to see me anymore. One of the statues is of a young Abraham Lincoln holding an axe, and so I always call it the young Lincoln with an axe. And sometimes I go and look at that, and it's very easy to tell who he is. And Abraham Lincoln makes a certain amount of sense to everybody, and he's one of those people now that I think people of all political persuasions and can sort of celebrate in their own sort of generic way. And some people think he's like Obama. Some people think he's some sort of symbol of the Republican Party in some sort of way that I think he's Lincoln's one, like George Washington, that you can kind of just morph into whatever you want him to be. I think what happens when people become part of any kind of mythological system, you can look at that and feel pride for America. You can look at that and feel hope. I think you could see him holding that axe, and I don't know. It seems like, yeah, it could be for chopping wood. It could be for battle. I don't know. There's lots of ways of different looking at man holding an axe. You know, it's like you see. I mean, I could just 5 seconds from now, I could be holding some sort of, I could be holding a Rubik's Cube, totally finished, by the way, or I could be holding a Calumet. And it's, am I off to work? Am I off to solve the problems of the world? Is it a symbol of hard work and earnestness? Is it a symbol of peace? You know, symbols are complicated, statues are complicated. But close by, oh, excuse me for a second here. Close by, just probably about maybe 100 yards, maybe 50 yards to the west in Garfield Park, right on, I think it's Washington, kind of in front of the pool. There's a statue of Robert Burns. It just says Burns, and it says, "A man is a man for all that," or for that. So it's a apostrophe, which I've seen that. A man is a man for that. And I was reading it like that for a long time. A man is a man for that. And I thought it was playful jibber jabber. And for the last probably 7 years, I've looked it up, and something about it didn't stick. I always meant to go look it up more, and I just sort of kind of generically just kind of bounced off of me, and I'd see it all the time, and it just never really stuck. And so one of the things about this experience that we're all having right now, you know, it's March, just turned March 26th, is that I've had more time to go to the park and look, and I've been spending hours and hours and hours at the park for the last, you know, pretty much more than an hour and a half every day, it seems, over there walking the unknown dog, you know, or the unknown dog walking me, and looking at all the birds and the lake, the lagoons, and all the people out there, and just sort of seeing and using the park as a place to check in, you know, not as some sort of like escape to nature, because it's very much not an escape. It's very much a reality of the city, and these sculptures and statues and stuff and are something that, you know, they're supposed to get you thinking. They're supposed to make you want to look things up, and it's just kind of a thing that I've just thought about for myself, is that I never did until today, really, look up that poem and see it as for what it was. And it was very powerful to find out that this thing that I've been walking by, and this, maybe seeing this as being some sort of like old-fashioned patriotism, or some old-fashioned, maybe even some sort of, you know, generic independence related sort of idea, was actually a pretty significant message of equality, and something that, even though it's very hard to love everything, or even a lot of things about the United States and about America, and how we've butchered and bastardized what the word freedom is. I think sometimes it is, it's very important to check in on the idea of like, there have been a lot of really strong voices that have recognized injustice and poverty, and the idea of still continuing to fight for independence and freedom in the way we live and the way we think is something that is still continues to be important and needs to be debated and evaluated, and we need to sing songs about it, and we need to continue to fight for it, because life is really complicated when everybody has a voice, and it should be that complicated because we all deserve to be heard and to be respected.
Is there for honest poverty that hangs his head and all that? The coward slave we passing by, we dare be poor for all that, and all that. Our toils obscure and all that. The rank is but the guinea stamp, the man's the gold for all that. What though on homely fare we dine, wear coarse grey woolen and all that? Give fools their silks and knaves their wine. A man is a man for all that, and all that. Their tinsel show and all that. The honest man, though ever so poor, is king of men for all that. You see yonder fellow called the Lord, who struts and stares and all that. Though hundreds worship at his word, he is but a dolt for all of that, and all that. His ribbon, star, and all that. The man of independent mind, he looks at and laughs at all that. A prince can make a belted knight, marquis, duke, and all that. But an honest man is above his might. Good faith he must not fault that. For all that and all that, their dignities and all that. The pith of sense and pride of worth are higher rank than all that. Then let us pray that come it may, as come it will for all that. That sense and worth all over the earth shall have the first place in all that. For all that and all that, it is coming yet for all that. That man to man the world over shall brothers be for all that. For all that, for all that. Shall brothers be for all that, for all that, for all that. May brothers be for all that, for all that, for all that. Shall brothers be for all that, for all that, for all that. Shall brothers be for all that.
Might mean something to somebody.